Hey everyone, today is Wednesday, the 9th of December 2020. This is the GAP episode 546. I'm Luke Lawrie. Job Gory is not here this week. He's on break. We've sent him away before he gets ramped up on Cyberpunk. But that's okay, because in his place we have a good friend of ours we've known for a very long time. We like to call him Kleb. Is that or Klebo? I guess is one of Job's nicknames he's got for you. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's me, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, right. You've actually you've been writing about games for a while now, and I think the two of us together have done a few trips. We've done a couple PAXs together, but we've also done a couple of E3s. I feel like maybe two.
We did E3 1 year, I think.
One.
Yeah, I want
I
to say
thought there was.
2018.
Yeah, there was one recently, but I thought there was one before that. Maybe no.
I've been twice, but I think I've only seen you once.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, we've been around each other.
Yeah.
You write for a website called Gamer.no. Is it Gamer.no or is it Gamer.nu?
No.
But how do you pronounce it? Because it's a Norwegian website, right?
Gamer.no.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah,
Yep.
I was sort of close with that second one, I feel like. I have a question for you then.
What you did on the podcast the other day, anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. When you write for a site like that, when you're preparing, do you because like when I'm drafting up an article or something that I'm writing, I usually jot down like things that I want to talk about, sort of like a structure, and then I go in and fill in what I'm going to write. And I guess everybody has their own type of style. Some people just will jot down 1,000 words and just start from point A and just go all the way through. When you do that sort of, when you do writings or reviews, do you do notes in English and then like translate them, or do you do everything in Norwegian?
Just
like,
everything in Norwegian, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just from start to finish. I tend to play the games with Norwegian like text as much as possible as well. Because we're a bit heavy on having I guess the Norwegian words translations as much as possible. So yeah, that's how I go.
Yeah, is that pretty common to have games with either is it subtitles or do you get audio sometimes as well? Is it more subtitles?
Generally subtitled, if anything. If a game has Norwegian audio, it's generally been made in Norway, and even then, sometimes not. Because there's only like 5 million of us, so if you want to reach out to any sort of, I guess, more people, then you got to go English.
Did you play Assassin's Creed Valhalla at all?
I've not touched it yet.
Okay, because that generally, I've played Assassin's Creed games in Italian before, back when they were doing like that sort of era, and then you had the subtitles on there. I think I played like one of them that way, but I'm wondering if they actually went the full like voice acting for that game.
No, definitely didn't.
That's disappointing.
Just went with the classic Scandinavian accents.
Right? Are they good? Are they
Oh look, they've got like Danish and some Norwegian voice actors in there, so I guess that's how you're going to get that accent.
Yeah,
nailing
right.
it.
Because the main male character, he's from some like Viking.
He's from Denmark, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
TV shows, right? So he's probably got it down pretty well. Cool. So you've been writing for how long now, exactly?
6, going on 7 years.
Right, but you're based in Australia, in Brisbane at this point.
Yes, that is correct. I've been here for almost 11 years now.
Awesome. All right, so that's a bit of background about you. We might appreciate you actually filling in for Job. He was the first one on the list. We had a list, like a battle royale list of who we wanted to get on here, and you made the cut, and you were actually the first person we asked as well, which was
sweet.
Which is good.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, exciting. So we might just get straight into it this week because we've got a few things to talk about, not a whole lot. I guess the one thing that people are probably the most excited to hear us talk about is Cyberpunk 2077. And we probably, we won't be. Not probably, we won't be. Because
we don't know it.
The GAP didn't get any code. You didn't get code. Your site did a review, though, didn't they?
Yes. So one of my colleagues nabbed that one before I could get my hands on it.
Right. Was there a how does that determine? Is there you put your hand up? Is there like a raffle, or like is there a battle royale in Quake or something, or what's the deal?
Well, editor just says, who wants this, and then everyone puts their hands up and he picks one.
Okay.
So we got our guy who reviews Cyberpunk. Like he's just done like a review in progress.
Yeah.
So far, and he's the same guy who gave Breath of the Wild a 6 out of 10. So we'll see how we go.
Interesting. Yeah. Fair enough. So we don't have codes yet. They've basically given them to very select outlets at this point, and not a lot of codes. I've heard of a couple now at this stage that have gotten 2 codes, but a lot of them are saying like that they were struggling to even get one at this point, which is kind of weird. I didn't think it was going to go this way, especially for a game like this. And at this point, it's kind of, you see why. You kind of see why exactly they're doing it this way, right?
They're holding out for that day one patch, hey?
Yeah, exactly, right? They're also not delivering any console codes. It's all purely on PC at this point. Codes were sent out last, so we're recording on Wednesday Australia time. They've been out for about a week now. It looks like on Monday they were sent out, the 30th of November, and that's okay lead time. You look at a publisher like Sony, right, and they do pretty good in their lead times. They're generally 3 weeks, sometimes maybe a little bit longer, especially with big titles like The Last of Us or God of War. They've done a lot of lead time. They've done a sort of like a week embargo beforehand, and they generally do a pretty good job. And this one is weird because obviously the select nature of who's getting codes. Like Job's been basically chasing up our code for the podcast for months, basically since September when we were supposed to be getting them. That's when we were told, and then the game obviously got delayed and all this stuff happens, and he's basically being told time and time again early December. We're now 24 hours away from launch. Job does not have a code yet for this game. So that's the point. That's where we're at. Like, and they're still saying early December. And I wholeheartedly sort of agree with you that they know what they're doing. They are trying to get the least amount of copies out there as possible to try and sort of do damage control, because at this point we know there's a lot of bugs. We talked about it last week, right? This whole reasoning behind them not wanting videos to come out of the game, and they were going to be like, hey, don't post any videos before launch day. We're not going to allow them to stay up because of spoilers. But then you read that today and you're like, maybe that's not the reason why. Maybe it's because of all the bugs going around.
Yeah,
man. It's a weird one, right?
Like a lot of YouTubers have got review copies, but they're not allowed to actually put up any of their stuff unless they use B-roll given directly from the publisher. So there's definitely something going on there.
B-roll footage, if people aren't really sure what that is, it's kind of like footage that they've given you. And it would generally be of somebody else playing. It could be trailer footage, or it's usually someone else playing, and it's stuff that they've kind of put together. And it's used a lot in like preview settings, but you don't really hear about that like as a embargo or an NDA detail in a review. That's kind of unheard of. It's a bad sign. It's not good. I'd heard that the game was buggy beforehand, and I didn't know it was like, occasionally you'll talk to somebody who's playing an early access game or a game for review, and they'll be like, I ran into a couple bugs, and you're like, yeah, cool. and then somebody else has played it and they have not seen any of that stuff. But this is like
Yeah.
consistent across the board. Everybody's having big issues with this game. And so it kind of
Yes.
makes you wonder, what is this game going to look like on launch? Which is very soon. The CD Projekt has basically said like the day, I think they're calling it day zero patch, is not actually what the reviewers are playing. Like the actual patch they'll be getting, it will be fixing a lot of those problems, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to fix all of the ones that people are running into, right?
No, definitely not.
Hmm.
You'd hopefully see it fix like the major crashes and all that, but things like characters T-posing in cutscenes, we'll see.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures floating around behind closed doors, but like, because obviously people aren't allowed to post them at this point. But yeah, it's so weird that you've got YouTubers and content creators that have this game and they can't put their content up because that's just the embargo details for this. It's really strange. I think it's honestly one of the worst sort of handled uh, review sort of NDA embargoes that I've seen in a long time,
Yeah,
especially for a
just on
game like
top of
this.
all the delays as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you come up to that, right? And you think about it, and it's like maybe this game shouldn't have come out anyway at this point. Maybe it should have been delayed more.
Yeah, well, probably, definitely. Like you can say that about every game, right? But
Yeah.
at this point, they've just had to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's at a point where it's too late, right? I think it was
Yeah,
too late
they'd
when they
already
started
gone gold.
manufacturing the discs at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
And so for them to even delay it to, like, imagine this game 2 weeks ago, what it would look like before those updates were the ones the reviewers were playing, would have been even in a worse state. But I feel like they could have maybe pushed this back to February or something like that. It's so weird to me that they wanted to get this out for the end of the year, because even if you look at stuff like the Game Awards or Game of the Year awards in general, it's kind of too late at that point. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know about you
I mean, they've
guys.
already missed out on the Game Awards, right? They're
Game
too late for
Awards.
that one.
The Game Awards were originally, because I'm part of the a jury panel, I guess if you want to call it, the voting process. The original cutoff date for the Game Awards had been shifted this year to cater Cyberpunk on that original launch date of was it November something, November 19th.
19,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that was, I think the cutoff date was like the 15th. But Cyberpunk had been given like extra leeway, and
Yep.
then once that kind of disappeared, once it got delayed, it was out of the Game Awards. And even at this point where it's coming out on the 10th, that's kind of pretty late because a lot of sites are already starting to work on their feature content. A lot of people won't have a chance to play it because you're talking about there's 3 weeks left at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for the sites that do their Game of the Year awards at like a later period of next year, like next year, January, February, that's okay. But a lot of sites tend to do them at the end of the year. And at this point, it's probably too late for it.
Yeah, definitely. We're doing our we're getting together to discuss, awards for the year. I think on Friday.
Hmm.
So yeah, that it will have been out for 24 hours. It's too late.
Yeah.
And then you get a discussion about, what about next year then? How many people, obviously it's a huge game, people are going to, it's going to be part of the conversation, but when you're waiting a full year to get into next year's awards,
Yeah.
that's a long time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long time. And people's memories get a little bit hazy and fuzzy, and then you start to think about, yeah, it was a good game, but the things that sort of, because obviously it's reviewed extremely well. Cyberpunk has reviewed, it's above 90 on Metacritic at the moment. It started off about 93. I think it's down to about 91. It'll probably stick around about 90, 91 is kind of where I think it'll land.
Yep.
But I think the big focus of the conversation the last 2 or 3 days has been all the bugs around it, and then all of the other issues that are sort of surrounding it, whether it's the trans issues that have been going on, or even the one today with the epileptic stuff, right? And how that's
Yeah.
sort of made its way into the game. Yeah, it's kind of they put themselves in a weird spot because they kind of they've sort of kicked off with this bad sort of mojo behind them, and people are very anti CD Projekt Red at the moment. It's yeah, not a good look for them at all.
No, definitely not. And then you get I guess the talk about crunch is always going to be a thing.
Crunch, yeah.
With them having gone out previously and said that we don't do that. We're not that type of studio. And then all the reports about crunch happening for months and months. Anyway, yeah, like you said, just a bit of a bad start for them.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm still very excited to play it. Obviously, when we do, if we get a copy. I mean, at this point, like Nate was messaging me, being like, "I'm buying it. I'm preloading at this point."
Yeah.
Because yeah, we're literally 24 hours, 25 hours away from this launching, and so hopefully we can get Job and I. Yeah, Job and I are hoping to get a decent chunk in. Well, at least I am. I think Job's going to be away for a couple more days, so I don't know what he's going to be doing, but I'm still keen to see what that one is all about. But until then, anything else you want to say about Cyberpunk at all? What we're talking about?
No, I'll play it. I think at this point, if it had come out early in the year, I probably would have been more keen to just jump straight in and play through the whole thing. At this point, I'm sort of like, may as well wait for Christmas break. The rush isn't as big, I guess.
Right.
So
yeah,
I'll get there.
Did you? I can't remember. Did you ever get into the preview session at E3 that year?
No,
you didn't make it in.
I did not. No, so
I remember we tried to.
Yeah, we sent 2 people, and so my the colleague I was there with, he got in because we could only put one, and then I think you were saying that you could just line up and they might let you in anyway. But at that point, I think everyone had figured that out. So when I went up to whatever room they were in, the line was out the door. So
yeah, that's unfortunate. Anyway, yeah, that kind of sucks. Oh, I wish we could be talking about it a bit more this week, but that's all right. We'll have to wait until everybody else gets it. But until then, might talk about kick things off with Demon's Souls, the PlayStation 5 game. You did a review for this one. I think we were kind of talking about it while we were all playing it. So you, me, and Job. You're a big From Software fan?
Yes, definitely. Dark Souls 1 is probably still the top one, followed by Bloodborne. Bloodborne's the only one I've finished multiple times at this point, but yeah, love the games. Probably enjoyed Demon's Souls more so than you guys, I think, on account of having played it before.
Right.
So I knew more what to expect, and that you mentioned about how FromSoft they're building every time for every game they put out, making it slightly better or tweaking some things. And Demon's Souls was definitely the guinea pig, if you will. But because I'd played it before, I knew what to expect, and so I think that sort of gave me not an advantage, but I was able to enjoy it more, I think.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I mean, like, everybody kind of comes at a different angle. I think the way that Job and I kind of approached it was this sort of time capsule of looking at a game that was released years and years ago that had been improved upon, like you said, kind of building all these extra layers on top of it. Whereas, and then wanting to talk about it critically, like, hey, obviously this is an old game. They've done a fantastic job about it. But at the same time, if you want to play a From Software game that is like showing you how capable they've sort of become over the last couple of years, then this probably isn't the one. Like, it's good. It's a good like historical sort of look at it, but it's not the best game, right? In this point in time. Yeah, and Job and I've said this a couple of times. Like that could be the same case for going back and playing Demon Soul or Dark Souls. Like I've played Dark Souls in the last couple of years, and I didn't enjoy that as much either. But so yes, absolutely. Like it's a fantastic game as a remaster, but if you want to analyze a little bit further, there's
Yeah,
issues there, right? And I
yeah,
think there's
definitely.
nothing wrong with pointing that out.
I think what I said in my review was that just as a remake or remaster, if you will, it's a 10 out of 10. Like Blue Point have knocked it out the park.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It looks amazing. But as a game experience, with the knowledge that you have from having played Dark Souls 1 through 3, it doesn't hold up as well, obviously. So
Yeah. Yeah. The other sort of thing I sort of related to was like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. Even though
yep,
that is an old game, I think the gameplay still holds up, but they also went in and made the gameplay better. Like they've made it so that it feels up to date. Like it doesn't feel
yep,
as dated. I'm not saying Demon Souls feels out of date, but they've sort of built upon what From Software did and kept that in there. Like there's not really a lot of fixing things. Like there's smoother animations and that sort of stuff, some quality of life
yeah.
changes, but it's not like they've gone in and fixed weird nuances
The
that
things that
original
were
game
broken
had.
back then are still broken now.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you can look at a game like what was I thinking of? Like Command and Conquer, that remastered one that they did, the collection. It was like one in Red Alert. I think it was Red Alert.
yeah, yeah.
And like Job and I were like, that game is amazing. Like it looks so good, but then you've got the problems with like it feels like an old game, right? You've got AI issues with the way it controls and that sort of thing. Like absolutely, it's a fun game to go jump in and play. I played a ton of it. It's really good time, but you can see like, all right, we've gotten to a point where games have evolved and um,
Yeah,
they've
that's
come a
right.
long way. Like Command and Conquer back in the day, like a fucking 9, 10 out of 10 game, right? But today's standards, it's like that game's probably I'd probably go the same thing, right? Like probably like a 7 or something like that. I'm not saying it's a bad
Yeah.
game again. 7's not a bad score. Literally, it's a good score. That's what
Steady on in
GameSpot
Twitter.
gave Cyberpunk, and they're
Don't
getting
don't
shit
give us
on.
the comments.
Yeah, don't really comment. Fucking hell, gamers, man. Anyway, is there anything about Demon Souls that because you've finished it? Did you started a second or is it a third playthrough at this point?
Second, so I finished obviously for my review, and then I think Job said either last week or the week before we sort of had a running battle going about who could get the more trophies. And then my game broke,
Hmm.
so I couldn't, or the PS5 broke, whatever, but I couldn't download the latest update, which locked me out of online.
Right.
And so I had to download the whole thing again, apparently, if I wanted to fix it. And I just thought, look, at this point, I've played through the game 1.5 times. I've sort of had enough. And then
It's because
Joe
it's a bad
brought it
game.
up on the podcast. Yeah. Joe brought it up on the podcast and said how he won the contest then on account of me, forfeiting, I guess. And so I went through and downloaded it again, and I got those last few trophies that he doesn't have. I'm pretty sure he doesn't share his trophies publicly, so
Hmm.
but I'm pretty sure I've got him.
Yeah, I think that's because we get NDA sometimes that are like, you need to disable all of this in your list. Like you
Yeah.
can't show what games you're playing or trophies or things like that. And so I think
Uh-huh.
he's probably just gone to the point where he leaves it off. I think I've got stuff that is on my account that has just been left like off. I don't even know at that point. I don't
Yeah,
like
like you can turn off every game individually, and
so nitpicky, man. Publishers sometimes like, who cares? Who the fuck cares what
yeah,
you're playing? It's so
who's going through your profile?
yeah. It's so strange. I think it's the nature of some games, like being able to see trophies really early. They like to make that a thing, and then also some games also do like this is where this person is right now, or like I've seen that on like Steam games, for instance, like Monster Train. If Job's on like level 4, it'll tell you on your friends list, like what he's doing, and so that can be something a lot of like gives information to players about what's going on. But it's just so, who cares? Nobody cares about that stuff. It's so dumb. They make such a big deal out of it. Anyway, how's the PlayStation experience going for you, other than the not being able to download stuff properly?
Yeah, it's still. I've sort of put it away for a bit. So I played Demon Souls, I did Astro's Playroom, I did Bug Snacks, and then I think Shadowlands hit, and so that's sort of just been taking up most of my time. So I haven't really used the PS5 since then, but I think once you get past that, new tech smell, it's just like any console really, and if anything, I've kind of gotten more annoyed with like the UI and the menu system and all that. It's just a bit finicky trying to, like, if you want access to your friends list, if you want them, screenshots that you've taken. I tend to take longer trying to remember where everything is, as opposed to the PS4, where everything, I don't know, seemed a bit more intuitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you end up getting a Xbox?
I did not know.
No. So
I probably would have, but by the time I tried, they were sold out, and then I figured I've got a PC, so I can pretty much play everything on here anyway.
Yeah, cool. All right, cool. Let's move on then. We've got a bunch of other games here. Might kick off with Call of Duty Warzone, which you've been playing still.
Yes, still having fun with it, still enjoying it. It's the best BR out there, in my opinion.
What happened to Apex?
It's so weird jumping back into that game.
It
I have
feels slow,
all the great memories. It's so slow. And I think going from PUBG to Apex back in the day, Apex was super fast. You're sliding around all over the map and all that. But coming back to it from Warzone is it's like you're running through honey, molasses, whatever you want to call it.
Mud.
It's so slow. Mud, that's a good one. So I've jumped back into Apex a couple of times since, I guess, Warzone hit earlier in the year, and it's not grabbing me anymore.
I think this is an awesome game, but yeah, Warzone has definitely taken us a lot. Like it's a great mix between sort of like what PUBG was doing with the military style shooting. It's obviously not as strategic or tactical. There's obviously some strategy there, but it's not like these like long drawn out fights where people are hiding behind trees and stuff like that. It's pretty like run and gun, like pushing people and that sort of thing. So the pace of it is just a lot quicker. I think it took you a little bit longer to jump into it than some of the other guys.
Yeah, definitely. But I wasn't right there at the start. I think I played like the first week, and then I thought, it's just another BR. But you guys obviously kept playing, and I jumped in some more, and just really loving it.
Yeah.
Still.
But you play a lot with the other crew, right? There's like two crews that sort of alternate.
Yeah, the infamous third person crew. They're still going strong with it. Whereas I think the GAP boys have sort of slowed down a bit with review season.
I haven't played in a couple weeks.
Taking everyone. Yeah. So we played a fair bit on the weekend. First time I jumped in a few weeks. And had a couple back-to-back wins. We had one great smashing win. We started out in Port. We tend to drop Port for some reason. It's just the place that we go. It's one of the worst places on the map to start, but
other than prison. Yeah.
Get on board with prison, Luke.
It's so bad. It's so fucking bad.
So we dropped Port, fought off. I think there were two other teams that landed there. We fought them off.
That sounds hot. Like prison's usually nobody. You get lucky if there's a team there.
So Port is hit and miss. Sometimes there's nothing, and we weren't really expecting it to be hot this time because it was just on the edge of the zone. And by the time we had fought off the first two teams, called in our loadout, the circle had hard shifted to the west side of the map, and it's sort of just we're running with it. We thought, for a moment that it was gonna, because it's such a hard shift and moving so quickly, the circle, thought that was going to be it for us, but we plugged straight through downtown, the worst part of the map to run through, I guess. There's so many buildings, so many places to get shot from, but I guess everyone else was also running in with us, so we killed another couple of teams on the way in, ran past train station, got in another couple of fights, and then we ended up, it just kept shifting west, the circle, so we ended up past Storage Town, sort of west of Airport.
Right.
And yeah, there was still like 6 teams by the time we got there. We had we got downed a couple of times, but we were able to buy back because just lucky enough to have buy zones in the right spots. We fought it out in the hills, got some nice snipes. Running out of ammo, it was dire straits, but we won the game. I think we ended up with 29 kills in a trios game. So it was a great game.
Exciting. Have they been doing stuff with? Because I still read the Reddit thread. Something's going on with the Juggernauts at the moment. Is it a bug or of?
Yeah, it's definitely a bug. So, they introduced this thing where you can, like, if you have the codes for the thing and you unlock a special area, you can open it up and there's always a Juggernaut inside.
Right.
So, in the main battle royale, which it probably shouldn't be one Juggernaut in there to begin with, but that's what they decided. And at the start of the whole thing, it was like only a few people knew about it and all of that. Whereas now everyone knows and everyone has access to the codes and all that. So there's always, every single game has a Juggernaut. And then some people worked out how to dupe the item that you use to call in the Jug. Right. So now you've got teams of 4, all Juggernauts, just driving around the map, destroying everyone. I've not come across that personally. There's always the one Jug, but I've not seen multiple yet. So hoping to get that fixed, which should happen with this update that's coming next week, I think.
I think there's like one rolling out at the moment. Maybe I thought I saw someone
already, like a hot fix.
Yeah, obviously they pushed back this. What are they calling it? I don't even know. Like season 1? Are they going back to season 1? Like Call of Duty, Black Ops, Warzone. I don't know what are they calling it at this point.
Slash Modern Warfare. Yeah, I think it's season 1.
Yeah, chapter 2, season 1. Maybe go the Fortnite route. So yeah, basically they're combining Black Ops, Cold War, and Modern Warfare, Warzone into they're updating and they're bringing it out. So that means we'll see a bunch of new weapons coming to the game. It looks like there's maybe a new map or something happening there. I'm not really sure about that one. This is the Alcatraz thing.
Yeah, the Alcatraz thing. From what I gathered, it's like a separate map altogether, like based on the blackout thing. Yeah, like they had the Alcatraz part of the map there, and there's like a mini royale, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a separate mode entirely.
Right. So that'll be curious to see what they do with that and sort of what happens with the existing map. Like, are they going to just keep it, or is there going to be some updates? It'll, I think it's next Tuesday, somewhere around about then. Tuesday, Wednesday.
16th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So another big change. We'll definitely have to jump in and check that one out. But still, I'm sure you'll be seeing Call of Duty Warzone on a lot of Game of the Year lists this year because I've seen it. Like a lot of people are really into this game. So it's not surprising. It's kind of like the big battle royale of the moment. And stuck around. Like they've done a good job over the last sort of like 8 months, 9 months. And if they can continue that, if they can transition from Modern Warfare to to Black Ops Cold War, then if that works, and then cool. This is kind of like dev formula. They'll have it set, and we won't
Yeah.
have to go back to that fucking Black Ops 4 sort of system where they had Black Ops 4 Battle Royale, and then they've got Modern Warfare Battle Royale. Like this is like its own standalone product now, which would be great.
It'll keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else to add about Warzone?
No, I guess obviously it'll be interesting to see what adding Black Ops Cold War weapons to the experience is going to do. I still haven't played any of that multiplayer from the new game. So when you start having to level up those weapons, that could be interesting. Certainly finding weapons that you're not used to or that we're not used to on the ground is going to be going to make for some interesting starts of rounds, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep moving on here. Let's kick off with Warzone. No, we did that one. Worms Rumble. I was going to say Warzone Rumble.
Yeah,
but this is a new Worms game.
It's much the same. It's they've gone the old battle royale route. So obviously everyone knows Worms. It's a turn-based game where your little worms run around shooting each other. And this one was free for PS Plus this month on the PS5 or PS4. Cool. Have you played it at all?
No, I'm going to add it to my list, my download list.
So it's not great. I found
delete it from my list.
And I think the old type Worms had its charm. The little worms and the stuff they say, and all the and you had the holy hand grenade and the flying sheep that blow up and all that. It's a fun little game. But so what they've done is they've gone real time with it. So you're controlling one worm and you're running around 2D maps still, sort of side scrolly ones, and every player, I think up to 32 they're running. Every worm is controlled by one player, and everyone's just running around picking up weapons, shooting each other. So there's a deathmatch mode that you sort of start out with, and then they recommend, like, once you hit level 5, you can do the squad-based last squad standing, and then level 10, you're ready for last worm standing, which is just like a solo BR. So you drop in, you just hunt for weapons. Basically, you start out with like a just a normal pea shooter pistol that does nothing, and so you're desperately in need of an upgrade for weapons straight up. And same as any BR, some people will spawn on top of the best gun in the game, and other people will find a baseball bat. So I had a few of the last worm standing games where like you pick where on the map you want to spawn, and then it'll have, I think, up to 4 players per sort of starting zone. And yeah, I had a few games where I spawned in and there's no guns in sight, and then I can see on the level above me there's people running in with the bazookas and all sorts of things, and I know that I'm just dead, and that's my game done. There's no respawning in the battle royale. You can, in the team one, you can get revived if you're downed, but once you're dead, you're dead. Which is, I think, a cardinal sin for any battle royale these days. You need to have that respawn feature. Just to keep people hanging on. Yeah, PUBG doesn't need anything. Doesn't want to be popular. So yeah, played a couple of games. I got 1 win in the squad based version. It's like squads of 3, but for some reason I ended up in a game where it was just squads of 2. I don't know. Maybe it's just random how it does that. But yeah, squads of 2 paired up with this other random person, and we won it. Had a couple of kills each, and now I can move on. I don't have to keep playing it.
And so this is is it a third person? Like what
Yeah,
sort of
so it's
perspective is it?
so it's 2D from the side, so everything controls like the same as the old Worms game. So you're seeing, the sort of
Okay.
side scrolling world, seeing it from 2D from the side, and you're just running left and right, jumping up and down. There's zip lines and stuff for you to sort of traverse the level, but
Right.
everything's the same except for the fact that it's real time. So everyone's running around at the same time.
Cool. Is there? You talked about like going and getting weapons. Is there ways to upgrade those weapons, or like different tiers, or is it purely just whatever you find?
No, it's whatever
That's
you find. So there will be guns just lying around, and then there's also boxes that has random loot. Some of the boxes, I think there's like a tiered system there with the boxes, like some are tiny and green, and they'll have one weapon and a grenade maybe, and then
right.
other bigger boxes have more guns, and so you can carry 2 guns at a time, a grenade type, and like a movement traversal
Mm.
one. So there's a jetpack, and there's a like a grappling hook type thing. And yeah, you're just running around trying to find the best thing. There's some ammo. You have to keep track of your ammo. Obviously, when you kill people, you can take their guns and ammo. And yeah,
Right. It's yeah, it's kind of strange that because obviously you said it's a PlayStation Plus game, but it's not a free to play game. Like you can go play it on other platforms, but you've got to pay for it. And I think that is, I don't know, like we're at a point now where you kind of can't do that, right? Because you've got PUBG kind of came out and was the launching platform for battle royale, and
yeah,
they obviously could charge, but we're at a place now where Fortnite is free to play, and it's one of the biggest games. You got Apex free to play; it's massive. Call of Duty Warzone,
yep,
it's free to play. That's what you're going up against when you go like this battle royale style game. And I think Worms is maybe a little bit different because they've got that. It's not really the same like third person or first person battle royale. It's more of this like classic Worms style game, and so maybe they can get away with it doing it that way. I don't know.
maybe, I don't know. You saw, I think Rocket Arena is probably the example you got to look to.
Yeah,
They launched. It wasn't free. No one played it. Dead after a
day.
week. I think. Yeah, I think it came out this in July or August, and it's already free this month for PlayStation Plus subscribers. So yeah, I think you can tell how that game went. Trying to not just give it away.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to. I'll keep it in mind. I don't think it's one I'm going to go straight after, but I wasn't always like a huge Worms fan. Um, just never really appealed to me as much. Like I have fun playing it, but it was kind of thing where I
Yeah,
play a couple of games, and be like, yeah, this is all right. But I think I'm
yeah.
done.
I think yeah. Growing up, obviously the multiplayer aspect of it was pretty good. Just
Yeah.
and because it's turn based as well, everyone can just sort of sit at the same computer. We used to have just bring a couple of friends around, and everyone just takes turns using the keyboard, like back in the day. And yeah, it was good for that, but it doesn't really have any sort of staying power. Any of the games, I don't think.
Right. I guess for me, I grew up with like the cannon fodder style games and oh man, what was the other one? Like where you'd have really old school with tanks and like shooting tanks. I can't even remember it, but very much like a worm style game, but super like Atari style days back then.
Yeah,
So maybe that's just why it never really appealed to me because I kind of played a bunch of them already. Anyway, all right, so that's Worms Rumble. It's available now on you can get on Steam or on console, particularly PlayStation Plus if you've got that. Check it out. Um, let's quickly talk about Immortals Fenyx Rising. Have you played any of this at all yet, or seen it?
No, I've not.
No.
I've not. I've seen you play a fair bit, so
Yeah,
take it away.
it's been my go-to game for like the last week. Job and I talked about it on the last episode, and we're pretty surprised at what this game was kind of doing. It's not like doing anything new or special. It's kind of just a fun little game to play, and that's kind of how I've been treating it. I'll jump in for an hour and a half every once in a while and just smash out a couple of levels, run around and clear a few things, and yeah, having a good time with it. So probably put in about another 12 hours over the last week, and it's a very Zelda-esque sort of just run around and just clear out as much as you can. There's no real, as far as I'm aware, sense of like, you shouldn't be in this area. Like, this stuff is too high level for you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my maybe one criticism of it, is that I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm just belting everything. After I got past the first initial area that Job and I both went to, I got some unlocks, and you level up your weapons. There's sort of a melee ability, which you use your sword, and then a heavy attack, which is your axe, and then a bow and arrow, which I don't use at all because I think it's terrible. But you use your axe to stun, basically add stun to them. And once they fill up their stun bar, it staggers them, and they fall over for a certain amount of time, and you do a bunch of damage. That's when you hit them with your sword melee attack. And I unlocked some special abilities that does a bunch of damage, but also one that like basically does a crap load of stun damage. And so I can fire that off twice in the span of like 5 seconds and just stun everything. Sometimes, like, if it's a normal unit, it's dead. It's gone. Like, see you later. If it's something a little bit bigger, which generally in most fights there'll be like one or two of those in there, I'll do that double stun, and then that thing is fallen over, and it's basically just me wailing on it for a couple of seconds. And so the combat, as much as I enjoy it, it's gotten pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because there are fights in there where you come across something, and it's a big boss fight, and they've got they've got tells and sort of different move sets, and you got to try and figure out, all right, do I try and parry here, or do I dodge out of the way because it's not something I can block, or like, where are my openings? And these fights have just gotten to the point where I'll just wait for an opening and just hit that stun, and that's it. Like, I do that 3 times and the boss is dead. So everything has become so trivial to the point where the combat isn't even hard anymore. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah, so there's nothing that's like immune to the stun effects, or
no, everything is just taking stuns and just dying. So it's just because this is something I brought up last week. Like, I wasn't sure how the sort of level scaling was going to affect it, because it's not really, you're not leveling, you're kind of just getting points and then putting them into different abilities or different upgrades, and or leveling up your weapons and that sort of stuff, potions. But it's not like you're level 1 and now you're level 2. It's just sticking points wherever you want. So that whole nature of being able to sort of explore anywhere in the map, that's, I think, maybe something that could have been addressed a little bit better, because everything is just dying so easily now. It's just not even, it's not hard. Like, I'll see a boss meter come up, I'm like, all right, where's this thing? Like, just go fuck it up. There was one fight, and I think I might have got footage of it, but this boss fight, I ran into this boss and I killed it in about 3 seconds. I just parried its attack, and shot a bunch of like fireballs at me or something in like really quick succession. I parried like all of them, and the thing was dead in like 3 seconds. It was ridiculous. I was laughing because it was that dumb. I was like, are you for real? That I just fucking destroyed that thing. It didn't even, like, the fight just started. So that's kind of where I'm at the point with that combat system. As much as I do enjoy it, it's just gotten to a point where it's too easy. And I'm feeling like that's okay. I'm just sort of having fun running around, opening chests and just doing puzzles and that sort of sort of thing. Because the puzzles are enjoyable. There's some thinking behind a lot of them. There's not really a whole lot of new that I'm seeing at this point. Like I've kind of unlocked all the abilities that I've got. Every once in a while, they'll throw in like a different type of mechanic. Um, at this point, like I've done this one where there are floating cubes. Like you hit them and they start floating, and then you use those cubes to move around. It's very much like the magnetic ability in Zelda.
Yep.
And you've got to position them in the right places and then use them to traverse across different platforms, like carry them around. And so that's something they've kind of just introduced them, but like it's not doing anything that's too hard or anything that like I've not seen this before. This is crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's
Do you
just
know
like a good
how far
game.
along you are?
I'm getting close to the end because I've cleared 3. They're sort of split up into different regions, and each region has a god that you've got to go and like rescue. And I've cleared 3 of them, so I've got one more god left, and then I think the main big bad that you're going after. So I guess we see we see how long I've got. 24 hours. Maybe I get there. maybe I end this podcast and I've got a surprise. But yeah, man, like I'm just really surprised at how much fun I'm having with this game. It's
Yep.
like Job and I said last week. It's not doing a whole lot different that you haven't seen before. It's just like a fun game that it's just enjoyable. Which is like there was a lot of comparisons between that and Breath of the Wild and that sort of thing. And I playing it more now, like you can absolutely see the inspiration from Breath of the Wild, but it's not trying to do that at all. Like there's no lighting things on fire and then using that propagation to do this other thing. Like it's just a action combat adventure game. Which
Yep.
you know, if they can take this and turn it into a franchise, maybe Ubisoft sees that there's interest behind this, and they come back in 4 years and they do something that's a bit more ambitious, then that'd be cool. Otherwise, if they come back in 2 years, it's like, oh, all right, they're just kind of churning these things out. So yeah, I think it's a good stepping platform or stone for them to kick off this series. Hopefully they go forward with it. They sort of do a bit more with it because yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. The writing's fun, looks great, runs great. I like the combat, the sort of essence of the combat. Bit too easy as things get going, but there's cool abilities. There's some fun puzzles in there, things to sort of wrap your head around. So yeah, it's a game I definitely recommend.
On PC?
Yeah, I'm playing on PC.
Yeah, right.
But I'm using a controller. I'm not using a mouse keyboard. Some games I'll use a controller on PC. Other games I'll, if it's a bit more fast paced, like need some more accuracy, then I'll use a mouse and keyboard. Like I used mouse and keyboard for Red Dead Redemption on PC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just for the aiming and stuff.
There's no auto aim, but
yeah,
you get used to it.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Immortals Fenyx Rising. You can check that out on, I guess, everywhere, right? Everyone's got it. So,
yep.
That's that one. One other game here that I've played a little bit of. It's called Call of the Sea. This one came out today on. It's available on Xbox Game Pass at this stage, but if you want to check it out on, there's a couple other platforms. I believe it's on Steam. I think it's on. No, it's not on PlayStation. It's on Windows, Xbox, and Steam. Yep. It's available for $20 US on Steam. Otherwise, if you've got Xbox Game Pass, which is fantastic. If you don't have Xbox Game Pass, I don't know what you're doing. Definitely get it. It's very good. Yeah, it is. It's basically an adventure puzzle game. I think when I first saw the initial trailer, I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, another Sea of Thieves game. That'll be fun." This is definitely not anything like Sea of Thieves. I think that the sort of art style and the fact that they had sea in the name, I was like, "Yeah, let's sign
put you in that
up."
mindset.
Yeah. It ain't like that. It's first-person adventure puzzle game where you're going from very linear sort of hub areas, and then solving different puzzles, learning a bit about what's going on, and then going to the next bit. And that's kind of the essence of it. The actual story is set up. You're playing as this this character named Nora, and she finds herself on this mysterious island where she's gone looking for her husband, who's disappeared after embarking on this expedition. And you kind of get there and you start learning about the people he was with, the things that he sort of discovered, and the things that are sort of going on with her life as well, because she's got a bit of backstory to her. This like weird disease that she's not really sure what it is. And I think that they've gone to that island to sort of discover more about that and figure out exactly what happened and that. So there's a lot of like mystery surrounding it. I haven't played a ton of it. I'm like, man, like 2-3 hours in at this point. I don't know how long it is. But what I've seen so far seems pretty cool. Like I've gotten to the point where there's a lot of looking around at objects in the world, and she'll like narrate when you pick them up. She'll like commentate on them and give you the backstory. It could be a picture, or you'll pick up like a letter and it'll have a bit of a journal in there, and she'll talk about that. And you can read these things, but also there's things in the environment you'll pick up and she'll jot down in like her diary, and that'll be a bit of a clue as to what the puzzle is in that area you've got to solve. And so far, the 3 areas that I've been through have these overarching main puzzles that you got to try and figure out. For instance, there was these like the very start of the game, you're finding these you find this bridge, this mechanical bridge on this island, and it's got a bunch of symbols on there, and you've got to go and find symbols that are sort of spread out throughout this area, and then come back to this bridge and then figure out like what order these symbols need to go in. And there's stuff around that kind of tells you, which way that symbol should be put into place. And so it's sort of like that sort of stuff. And then like for the next one, there's some like powering up. I don't want to give too much stuff away, but like powering up certain devices that are around you and tinkering around with different elements in the environment. But it seems pretty cool because I've gotten to the point where I've started like writing notes down on a piece of paper to solve some of these puzzles, because certain things in the environment will connect to something else, and you've got to think about it a little bit more. But once you start putting the clues together and then being like, oh yeah, I kind of see what this thing is trying to tell me, that's when it becomes really like, oh fuck, I feel smart, like I'm such a legend. Because then you can start joining the dots together. And so I'm the type of person that will write things down and that'll make things a bit clearer for me. So yeah, that I really dig puzzle games, and this seems like a really cool adventure game. Like it's not doing stuff that, it's not like The Witness or anything like that where it's just like fucking puzzles everywhere, or even like Immortals Fenyx Rising, or the puzzles in Legend of Zelda. Like it's not like that. It's sort of just a very adventure game style puzzles that have been brought into a first person game. So I'm having fun with it. Obviously, if you've got Xbox Game Pass and you like puzzle games with a bit of story behind them, definitely check it out. I think it got a 9 on IGN, and that's where it kind of got me this morning. Like I saw that review and I was like, done, sold, easy.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll probably talk about it more next week if I get some time to play it more tonight. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm just curious to see where this like story goes, because I'm very drawn in at this stage. So that's called Call of the Sea, and it's out now on Windows and Xbox consoles. All right.
Very good.
Last game we got here is World of Warcraft Shadowlands. And both of us have been playing this. You a big World of Warcraft fan?
Used to play a whole lot back in old vanilla Burning Crusade days. And I think, like a lot of people, I sort of jump back into every expansion and jump back out again. So, but yeah, for this one, I've sort of put a lot more time into it than I normally would. Been enjoying it, yeah.
Right. How far in are you? Like, what level are you at now?
I'm done.
You're done. Okay.
I've hit 60. As done as you can be. I think new content came out today, but yeah, hit 60 in the first. I think second day it was out. I reviewed the game, so I was sort of
pushing through
just trying to smash through everything as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I think I haven't played a ton. I'm still at the first or second area, I guess, after you get to is it Bastion, the main hub?
Ouroboros.
What's it called?
The sort of hub world is Ouroboros, and then you move on to Bastion.
Yeah, okay. So that's where we are at the moment. Not too far into it. I think I'm level like 61 or 61 and a half. Oh, sorry, 51. 51 and a half. Yeah, it got to a point where that sort of initial tutorial area that I talked about last week gets things moving, sort of sets up the premise of who the jailer is and that sort of stuff. And then once you leave there and get to that main hub, it fucking grinds to a halt. Like, it is story, listening to people, and walking around this town. And I reckon you do that for a decent chunk of time. Like, because
there's so much listening to stuff in this one. It's not all, like I think you were talking about last week, how sometimes they just like make you walk around in the game listening to things, which gets grinding. But then just a lot of cutscenes outside of that, which you can obviously skip if you want to. But there's a lot to take in, a lot of lore.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I usually jump in with my wife, and it's not like we play for a long time. Like, we'll jump in for 2 hours or something, and we would at that point, and it's like we just jumped into that part, and it must have been like half an hour or something. We're like, are we gonna get to fucking fight anything, or are we just gonna listen to people like talk? Because then you leave that area, and then you go to Bastion, and you're walking around again.
More talking.
It's more talking, and they're more like walking around, and like they're showing you all these things, and you're like bathing in water and getting dressed, and I'm like, where the fuck are the shit I want to kill? And then that does happen.
It's like the start of BioShock Infinite, just stretched out for hours and hours, where you go through the baptism at the start.
Yeah, and so that was a little bit frustrating, but we've gotten to the point now where we're in the main map. This new area where killing things and making armor and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, it's starting to ramp up a little bit. It just took a while to get to that point, which is a bit frustrating. But how have you found the new leveling system with them squishing down the characters, and does it feel like you're making, I don't know, because before it used to be like 5 levels, right? You do 5 levels per expansion. Was that how they used to do it?
I think 5 to 10. Some had 5, some had 10.
Yeah, so this one's 10.
I think like Battle for Azeroth went from 110 to 120, I think, and then they squished everyone back down to 50 to try and chase 60 again, which I think is the right call, because it was getting kind of ridiculous. People running around with 500,000 health and doing 100,000 damage per hit. It's like, okay, these are just numbers now. Doesn't mean anything. So I think doing the squish was the right thing. And I think it makes the leveling up sort of it matters more. It feels like you're getting places, I guess. But then at the same time, if you're going from 50 to 60, now I've only done shaman and a bit on a paladin, but there's like, you're not really learning any new skills or anything like that.
Yeah.
So in that sense,
just new gear.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's better. I think they're not quite spaced it out well with this expansion. Like, I think I hit level 60 in the third area that you get to out of 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can smash through sort of the main quests, and they've certainly done a good job with showing you, this is the main storyline quest, like the icons have different colors and all that. But then there's also, every area has another like 4 or 5 hubs with side quests that you can just do if you want to. And I think doing that, because I was, like I said, reviewing it, I was trying to sort of get as many impressions as I could, and doing a lot of these side quests, not all, but a lot of them. Yeah, I hit level 60 well before I'd finished the sort of main storyline, which I feel like that probably could have lined up a bit better, because then the rest of the campaign was sort of just grinding story content rather than actually progressing my character.
Right. Are they still using the artifact system? Because
No.
Dead? Right.
So like you had the Heart of Azeroth, right?
Yeah.
And the last one. And
Yeah.
then before that there was like weapons of, depending on your spec. But that's all gone for now.
Right.
The Heart of Azeroth doesn't even work in Shadowlands because you're dead. So
yeah, that's the thing, right? Is it at least the Heart of Azeroth, or the artifact system, was a means, like, even though you were leveling up and you weren't getting new skills, you were sort of getting modifiers or like buffs to those skills, and so it felt like you were getting something. But by having that no longer be a thing is kind of weird, because in essence, you're just leveling up now and just getting better gear.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's a weird decision. I've not played enough yet to sort of get my head around. But does it feel like that needs something more there?
I think for the general, leveling 50 to 60, it's fine. They're not doing anything special with that sort of journey. But obviously, once you hit 60, you unlock a whole bunch of new features. I think the main one being a Torghast, which is like a roguelike thing where you go through a tower, and you go on level to level, sort of fighting through a bunch of enemies to get through the last boss. And then it's like, yeah, you've cleared that level and you unlocked maybe some gear and maybe some other stuff, which for mine, Torghast was super boring. I think it seems to people have a lot of different opinions based on what class they're playing. And I think going through as a shaman, I was able to sort of solo everything. It was all pretty easy because I can sort of take a bit of damage. I can heal myself. I've got a tank pet for the tougher fights, and yeah, I was really bored with it. Whereas I know other people have had heaps of fun. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Do you do much like battlegrounds PvP stuff or anything like that, or are you just really just playing the story?
I've sort of touched a bit on PvP after I hit 60, but there's nothing new there yet. I think today they kicked off like the first season of PvP and arena and all that, which I'll probably have a little go at. I most likely won't be doing the raid. I think they've opened up
Yep.
the first Shadowlands raid today. So I've sort of hit that point where I'm kind of done, because once you hit max level in any MMO, it turns into a grind. Every time. Once the story's finished, there's still some story beats here and there. The Covenant system has been interesting. So like once you hit 60, there's 4 covenants that you've gotten to know throughout, going from area to area in Shadowlands. And then once you finish the campaign, you get to choose one to align yourself with, and then you sort of start leveling the Covenant up. So you're sort of rebuilding their base in whatever world you've chosen to be in, and it's been interesting. But again, it's just more doing the same thing. You wake up in the morning, you go and you do your dailies, and then you get your whatever currency you need. So there's Renown, there's Anima, there's Stygia, there's Soul Ash, there's some Soul Remnants or something or other. So you're just constantly trying to farm all these currencies to use for leveling up different things, and yeah, it's all a bit samey once you get up there.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it at all, or kind of like?
Yeah. I actually quite liked it. I thought the story was good. Playing through, I think, like getting to know the four covenants, it sort of sets up a cool like when you get to make your choice, you sort of you've built that relationship with the factions, so you know what they're about, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I think I gave it an 8. But yeah, same as every expansion. Once you've sort of exhausted all the content, it's just grinding for currencies and reputation and better gear and doing the same things over and over again. So I think I've hit my limit with it now. So I'll definitely be taking a break, which coincides nicely with Cyberpunk. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of yeah, we'll see. I think I need to play more of it to sort of get a feel, because I was really interested in the story. Like, the new area looks pretty cool. It's just like, well, at least the one I'm in. I don't know how different sort of changes thing up, but it's, you know, it's white. It's something that's not snow, at least. It's like very
Bastion was easily my least favorite area. I
right.
hated Bastion. I thought it's set up like, because you start out with the Maw, like you said, and which is sort of like the exciting setup for the whole expansion. You get the story and all that.
The Protoss
you're in hell, basically.
dudes.
Yeah, and then you go to Bastion, where it's like, you know, where everything is white and everyone's angels and all la di da.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awful, but it gets better, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, cool. That's what I want, because it's been very slow so far.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's everything we've got. We might bump into some news now. Speaking of Warcraft, World of Warcraft Shadowlands is now the fastest selling PC game of all time. They shipped 3.7 million units in 24 hours, beating out Diablo 3, which was 3.5 million units in 24 hours. That's Blizzard beating its own record, which is something they do quite a lot. I was kind of surprised at how many people I had on my friends list playing WoW. Obviously, it's a big game, but looks like this one really drew in people to come back and play it.
Yeah.
Were you sort of seeing the same thing across your list?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people that would normally be playing Warzone definitely showing up Shadowlands a lot the last few weeks. So you know, I think they were saying, Activision or Blizzard, that they were setting records like before the game was out with pre-sales, and so yeah, it's been popular. But I think as always, we'll see how long people stick around. Once that first month of subscription sort of ends, I'll see how many people are still left.
They get the second month of people that forget to cancel, and then it's the slow drop off, like the slow decline, as everybody sort of remembers that, oh yeah, I need to cancel that.
Yeah.
But I've had a subscription for freaking ages, so mine's always just running constantly. Anyway, that's cool. I wonder if this is just like what they do now, because you get to the point where do Blizzard need to make another MMO? Probably not. If they're doing this many units, that's a lot. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Do they need another WoW style MMO, or can they just keep making expansions for this and updating the graphics? Like the RTX features they put in recently is obviously made things a little bit better for people to have those types of cards, but I don't think they need to because everyone was always waiting for that game, right? And that never came out. It ended up being Overwatch. They took a lot of the assets from that game and made Overwatch. So I think they're probably done with an MMO at this stage.
Yeah, I think, even if the subscriber numbers aren't what they once were, this launch has obviously shown that they will sell the expansion at least, and then that's kind of all they need.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, we've got some film news. Oscar Isaac has been cast as Solid Snake in the upcoming Metal Gear Solid film. He's got a lot on his plate the next couple of years, I guess. Oscar Isaac is working on, he's attached to a bunch of things. He's doing a Disney Plus series with, I think it's Moon Knight. He is attached to this Solid Snake character. I think he's doing a TV series somewhere else, another film. There's a lot going on right now, and I guess the thing is, obviously it's good casting. Everybody knows that he's a very talented actor, but does this film end up getting made is kind of a different story, right? We've heard about casting news before, and and that kind of gets nowhere. Look how long it took the I don't know, like the Uncharted film to get done. At one point, Mark Wahlberg was cast as Nathan Drake, and he's now playing Sully like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Is this exciting for you at all? Are you a Metal Gear fan? Are you a fan of Oscar Isaac? What's happening?
Yeah, definitely. I think I played through the first 3, and then it sort of lost me with all the, was it Revengeance and 5, and the sort of I think the stories kind of got a bit too big for what I was prepared for.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely lost me a bit there. Definitely keen for the movie. I watched that Kurt Russell one back in the day. It wasn't called Metal Gear Solid, but like he was playing Pliskin on an oil rig, and
yeah,
so it'll be cool to see
Escape from New York game.
Yeah, that's the one. See what they do with it if they ever end up doing anything. So I think Kojima's been talking about this movie for 15 years. So
would it surprise you if Kurt Russell was a character in this film?
He turns up as Big Boss. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I guess we have to wait and see, right? So the director behind, it's attached to this at the moment, is the director that did the King Kong, the recent Kong Skull Island film.
Skull Island.
Which is very good if people haven't seen it. And from what I've heard, he's very big into video games, and he's been trying to get this film made for a long time now. So
I think it was cool. You put up a I think it was an IGN article from last March, I think, where Oscar Isaac and some others were doing promo for another movie,
Triple Frontier.
And he was asked, what video game movie he'd want to do.
Yeah.
And I think he put his hand up for Snake back then, and obviously he got his wish. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this was an article. This is an interview in, I think it was 2018, or was it 2019?
I think 19, but
Triple Front. Yeah, 2019. So this was a Netflix film with Ben Affleck. What's his name? Pedro Pascal, who's the Mandalorian, and Oscar Isaac was in that. And IGN, as it was a group casting interview. He's like, has anybody got any thoughts on video game movies? And he put his hand up and said, I want to do a Metal Gear Solid film. And they asked him like, what character? He said Snake. And that was in like you said, March last year. And then after that happened, the director got in touch with Boss Logic and got him to do up a Oscar Isaac Solid Snake image. Boss Logic obviously does a lot of geek nerd digital photos and Photoshop stuff, and so he put that out there, and I think that started the train rolling. After then, like a bunch of people obviously got on board with producing, and pieces just fell into place. So yeah, he's been gunning for this role. We've seen that recently with like actors being like, "Yeah, I'll put my hand up for that." With like Henry Cavill as
that's right.
Geralt. You've got all these actors now that have grown up playing video games that have want to do something with those characters. So that's kind of cool. And him also obviously being a good actor helps a lot. So I'm excited to see if that comes to front. But I guess we'll wait and see. All right, so that's Metal Gear Solid film. Next up, we've got PUBG Season 10 is introducing a new urban map. I think it's called Codename at the moment. Codename Haven.
Yep.
Might have a different name when it comes out. This is after introducing a new map last October. And this one in particular, some people have been doing some data mining. It will be a duos or one-man duos map featuring 32 players with enemy AI factions and lootable parachutes that can be used to jump off buildings that are in the map. This will be deploying in the next 2 days on the test build, on the test server. And obviously be changing the direction of PUBG once again, because this sounds very different to what PUBG's done in the past. It sounds to me very like the moment I hear enemy AI factions, I think of like Escape from Tarkov or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I've not played that game.
Scavengers or me neither.
Yeah.
You know what we're talking about.
But does this sound exciting to you? Does this make you want to get back into PUBG? Like where are you at?
Just sounds like they still have no idea what they want to do or what players want from their game. Like, you go back to them putting in Sanhok, smaller map, faster paced, and it's like it sounds good in theory, but it wasn't PUBG. And then they kept pushing that with the other Karakin, the tiny map. And then they put in Team Deathmatch, and it's just constantly just dragging away from what made PUBG good to begin with.
Paramo, I think, was the last map, and that was like a 3x3 small map as well.
Yeah.
This one is apparently small as well, 32 players. So.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I think the esports, they're still just doing Erangel and Miramar. So it's like you have the professional scene, which is playing OG PUBG, and then they're wanting the players who are, probably a lot of them are watching PUBG esports playing an entirely different game.
Yeah, it is that point, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's very strange what has happened with this game. It's just a different pace. Like it seems like they're chasing at this stage, they're chasing like the Call of Duty or like other hot games at the time. Like, Escape from Tarkov's gotten really popular. What can we do?
Yeah.
And so they go and like run after that. Let's put enemy AIs in. Obviously they put AI bots in recently once the player base started to tank and they were having all those matchmaking issues. But now they're like, how can we turn that into something that's not like just bots running around? Like have them engage players and hunt them. I mean, they're saying that they will be hunting players, but which is kind of what Escape from Tarkov does, right? But you end up with a situation where how good is this AI going to be? Because they were pretty garbage when they put them in to the main game. So
they were woeful. So is it like it's still a battle royale, this new thing? Like you're still fighting to be last one standing?
As far as I'm aware, yeah. There is still 32 players. It's smaller. Trying to be the last one going. I don't know if every building is going to be accessible or like what is going on, because they did release a trailer today and it's got like the dude jumping off a building and then parachuting and landing and then it zooms out and there's like a bunch of buildings everywhere. So I don't know if it's going to be like every building is accessible or if it's the Miramar thing where some buildings you can go into and other ones you can't, or like I don't know, but
yeah, but
I,
they'd have to do like some sort of Karrakin solution where like the buildings will blow up, because otherwise it's just going to be however tiny the map is of people sitting in buildings camping.
right, yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
and that's
let's see what
yeah,
they
that's
do.
not good. Because you end up with situations where it's like, oh, we've got to move out of the circle, and it's just people running from building to building, um, like no open spaces or anything like that. It becomes
Yeah,
a problem. So I don't know, man. I just don't. I don't think this is something that's going to draw me back in, at least to check it out. But we'll see. We'll see what the group the group does. Um,
yeah,
yeah. All right. Moving on, we've got, after joining the studio in 2017, general manager of BioWare Casey Hudson is leaving along with Mark Darrow, the executive producer on the upcoming Dragon Age game. This is kind of big because obviously Casey Hudson was a prominent figure on those old school Mass Effect games and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. He was the game director on all of those games. Maybe not Mass
yeah,
Effect 3. Let me just check. I'm checking real quickly. Yeah, he was. He was a game director on Mass Effect 3. So all three of the Mass Effect games, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, obviously left and then came back. He's been there for a couple of years. He's been working on possibly this Dragon Age game and maybe this new Mass Effect game that is floating around, but now is out. He's gone. Um, is this a big deal, do you think, or is it a case of, that there's the leadership, the guy at the top of the sort of stack is gone, but there's people below that are still churning away?
yeah. I think we saw this with Halo Infinite, right?
Yeah,
That a while into production, all of a sudden the leadership team was sort of phased out, and I guess it's hard to say for certain, but just reading their sort of goodbye statements, there was a lot of making way for um, the new crew to sort of take over, and it's hard to not read that as our ideas were no longer matching up with what EA wanted.
right,
And I think BioWare and EA have obviously been at loggerheads before. We saw with Anthem, and yeah, it's it just seems like it's the beginning or continuation, if you will, of the end for BioWare as we know it.
right,
Which makes it interesting for the coming Mass Effect game, right? And Dragon Age, for that matter.
right. I think that's an interesting point of like, um, I think you can kind of read it two ways. Is that either Casey Hudson and Mark were as a general manager of the studio and the and an executive producer of these games, either their vision wasn't being taken to the fullest by EA, and there was a lot of conflict of interest there, or EA wasn't happy with whatever they were working on, and then they were let go. So I think that
Yeah.
that's the only two things. Like, you don't have both of these guys bail at the same time for no,
No, there's no way.
no reason.
It's like wake up one morning, oh, I'm done being in charge of all of this now. Two of them at the same time. So
Yeah. So I think there's obviously something going on there. Either they are not happy with the things that EA wants them to do, or it's the other way around. EA is not happy with whatever they're doing. It's on those games. So I guess we'll wait and see, because coming up this week is the Video Game Awards, and they will be revealing some Dragon Age footage, or at least something Dragon Age related at this event.
yeah, which they've done that before, right? They've revealed Dragon Age 4 stuff, and it's like a 2-second clip of a door, or
Right.
so. I'm not too excited, but it could be an actual game reveal.
Could be. Yeah, we might see some gameplay, which would be cool, but I'm not holding my breath. Continue on from the VGAs, or the Game Awards. The Game Awards. Yeah, not the
Game
VGAs.
Awards.
The TGAs. We got some presenters that have been announced: Christopher Nolan, Tom Holland, Brie Larson, Gal Gadot, Stephen A. Smith for some fucking reason. I don't know. Reggie Fils-Aimé, and a handful of other people. Obviously, that's some big names there. Some of them I don't know what they're doing there. I don't care about Chris Nolan anymore. I think he's a dickhead. But the rest of them: Tom Holland, Brie Larson, Gal Gadot. That's interesting. Obviously, not in the video game space, I guess, apart from Brie Larson, who has a YouTube channel, who's done video game stuff on there before. But this is more like Hollywood stuff. Gal Gadot's there for promoting Wonder Woman, obviously. Tom Holland is there
maybe
because
do a rendition of Imagine.
I think Tom Holland is there for a Uncharted trailer drop. That would not surprise me. Brie Larson, I have no idea. I think she's just there because she likes video games. Chris Nolan's an interesting one. Is that for Tenet on 4K or something else? Like, is he attached to a game now?
He did stuff with Fortnite, right? So I guess there's that link.
But do you get him in to be like, hey, we've got something else to announce? Like, is he working on a game, producing a game, got a team on it, or is it just for Tenet coming in 4K and digital?
Isn't the Game Awards just a chance for Jeff Keighley to show off his powerful friends?
Right, yeah, maybe.
It definitely seems like he gets people in for whatever reason, and often they don't know why they're there, and we don't know either.
What if it's Kojima's next game and all these people are in it?
Oh, well, that'd be something, I guess. He's working on a horror thing, isn't he?
I mean, are we going to find out? Do you think we'll find out? Speculation time.
Yeah.
The other thing that we learned about is PUBG's studio Striking Distance is going to be revealing their new game, which is headed by Glenn Schofield, who previously was on Dead Space. He left EA and went and worked on a bunch of Call of Duty games. I'm pretty sure Joe's interviewed him a bunch, but he was a studio head on like some of the Modern Warfare games. I think like 3 Call of Duty games, and then he's gone over to this PUBG studio, and it's in San Francisco somewhere. So yeah, we're going to see whatever he's working on. As far as I'm aware, that is something that is tied to the PUBG universe. So that could be interesting.
Yeah, it was going to be their sort of lore-heavy side of everything, right? They're going to tell the PUBG stories.
Right, yeah. So that should be cool to see. Any other predictions? Obviously, we're probably going to see stuff out from Sony and Microsoft, but is this like the time for Elden Ring, do you think? They come out? They swing it?
Surely not. Never going to see Elden Ring.
No?
I mean,
that's a Sony thing, right?
Eventually, sure.
Or is it a Microsoft thing?
I don't think there's any exclusivity for that one.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just he comes out. They generally come out, like, we've not seen anything from software in a while. I feel like this has to be it, surely.
Well,
and it's coming out in March.
That's what people have been saying. What?
It's coming out in March next year. Yeah,
that'd be insane. No, I think they went out and tweeted recently, right? That
did they?
Elden Ring is definitely still a thing. Yeah, I think because they were talking about Demon Souls and how cool that it was doing well, and don't worry, Elden Ring is still on the table. We haven't forgotten you. But yeah, they're definitely a studio that won't say much until they're ready, I suppose. So.
Is there anything else you're excited for out of that?
I think there's going to be a new Among Us map revealed.
Yeah.
Which Among Us is still one of the games that I enjoy playing, even if it doesn't happen much, because getting 10 people in a group is next to impossible. So that'll be good. Otherwise, I've not really kept track of what's happening. So just wait and see.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like there's usually big announcements at this thing. So, and it being Like they announced the Xbox last year. Like the
Yeah, that's right.
Game Awards has gotten pretty big. So I mean, like, there's nothing. If they came out and did something else with Microsoft, wouldn't surprise me. Whether it's something Bethesda related or something like one of their new studios they bought, and they come out and they're like, "Hey, this is what we're working on." That wouldn't surprise me at all. So it's it
Maybe
should
we'll
be a
see
good
some
show.
Avowed, the Obsidian new RPG.
Yeah, maybe. I guess we'll see. Um,
Yep.
it's still an interesting day to have it on Cyberpunk release day. Battling up against that is a bold decision. Obviously, that wasn't their fault. That was just because games got moved around. But
Yep.
I think it's still going to smash records and all that sort of stuff because it's such a big event. Anyway, that's the news. That's everything there. We've got I believe we have a stack of questions though, which
Oh, cool.
is usually quite annoying because I've got to read them off my phone because I'm using my PC to record everything and I can't bring it up. So I've got to go through and find all of them. Let me go here. This first one comes in from Jorby, I think his name is.
Oh, friend of the show.
Jorby. It says, "Hey Luke and Kleb, great episode." I think
Oh,
he's
was that a
being
vote of confidence?
sarcastic because we're still recording. Like that episode of The Sopranos where it's just Paulie and Christopher out in the woods, and they don't want Tony to find out what happened because he'll be fucking pissed. Pretty sure it was directed by Steve Buscemi, generally regarded as one of the best. Okay, so maybe I'm still not sure. He could be taking the piss.
I don't know this episode, so
No,
I just assume that Joe is taking the piss.
Never watched The Sopranos. We'll listen to this show. Anyway, Luke, can you ask Kleb if my dad being hospitalized? What? I missed all this. That's no good, Job. Was the exact opportunity he needed to finally overtake my Demon Souls trophy score, or does he have another flimsier excuse? It's a question for
Yeah,
you.
obviously, I think he said something to me about, that he was coming up to Queensland to see his dad. I don't know any of the circumstances around that, but so all the best, Job. Aside from that, I definitely, it was the talk of the podcast, whenever that was, that Job had overtaken me and won the bet. That sort of pushed me to download all 60, 70 gigabytes of the game again, and beat, the fact that he's not at his PS5 to do anything about it, I'll take that as a plus.
Yep.
Added bonus.
Do you think he's going to come back now and try and beat your score, or is it too late? Like, at what time do you platinum this? Is the first one to platinum, and that's it? It's done.
I don't think either of us are going to platinum because the last 3 trophies I've left are like collect all the rings, all the magic, and all the miracles. And that requires, I'm pretty sure, at least a few playthroughs. So you're probably into New Game Plus, maybe. And I don't have that in me. And I don't know that Job has either. So it could just be that he finishes off the last. I think I'm 2 ahead of him.
Yeah.
Could be.
What if you start that Cyberpunk trophies? Because I think you're gonna have a head start on him.
Yep. Well, I might get a head start, but I definitely think he's gonna be playing it a lot more than me in the coming weeks. So I won't start that one. Won't start that battle.
Fair enough. All right, good question, Job. This next one comes in from Dr. E3 Money, our boy Drew. He says, "Why can't Ubisoft let go of the assassin bit of Assassin's Creed? We've had 3 very good to outstanding titles in a row across 3 different historical eras / settings. Can't they just rebrand to Historical Action Game or Ubisoft Presents something something? Just put one out every 18 to 2 years. Who wouldn't play Genghis Khan or Aztecs or Shaka Zulu? focus on telling a story wholly relevant to the era. Forget this animus ancients as assassins bullshit. He then says, wouldn't you rather play a Ubisoft game? Sorry, wouldn't you rather play that Ubisoft game rather than the next Assassin's Creed game? I'm just sort of skimming through here. It says, yeah, side note, because I wasn't sure if that was the end of the question. Side note, if only they hadn't fucked it back in the day and it actually continued the story as it seemed to be going. Desmond learning to become an assassin and fighting the Templars in that future I was so primed for. They killed it trying to stretch it out with Brotherhood. That or Patrice leaving lost all the semblance of coherent direction of that story between inside the Animus and out. So yeah, a couple questions there. I think this is something we've talked about a few times now, especially on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which you haven't played yet. But to me, it feels very like this didn't need to be an Assassin's Creed game. I'm not feeling the... When I think about Assassin's Creed, it's a lot of like stealth action, running around, hiding in bushes, climbing rooftops, and that sort of stuff. There's not any of that in there. You can definitely do it, but the focus of the game is kicking the shit out of everybody, calling in raids, and getting everybody on your long ships to come in and loot and pillage all these villages. And that seems to be the big focus of it, as opposed to a stealth Assassin's Creed game. And so I wasn't sure why, like, I think the Assassin's Creed name is sort of just becoming the brand name now. Similar to as much as I really enjoyed it, like Black Flag, like having pirates in there was super interesting, but did it need to be an Assassin's Creed game? And I think we've got to that point now where Drew's sort of right. Why not just have it be Ubisoft Presents and it's Valhalla, right? And it's a very similar style Assassin's Creed game, or Assassin's Creed world format, but they're different games that don't need to incorporate the Animus stuff or any of the outside world building things that are going on. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be hard for them to give up on the Assassin's Creed series, because obviously the name sells.
Yeah.
I don't think an Immortals Fenyx Rising is ever going to sell as well as Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You know, you see it every year with Call of Duty. They're knocking it out of the park just on account of it being Call of Duty. I think if Activision put out Activision Presents, you know, whatever, it's never going to sell as well. And that's probably where Ubisoft is sitting. They're not prepared to give up on the sales that I think the Assassin's Creed name still brings in, even though they've gone really far away from what the series started out as.
Yeah, because obviously there's this kind of, I don't know, like a split between the things people wanted out series. Like there's a bunch of people that really liked the Desmond storyline and where that was going. Like Drew kind of pointed out, it seemed like they were being like, that character of Desmond was in the Animus and he was learning about all these things that went on in the past. But while that was happening, he was also gaining like abilities and things he could use in the real world. And so it did feel like they were building towards a futuristic, him running around.
Yeah.
You're now Desmond in this Assassin's Creed game. That all disappeared. And it went from these trilogy of games to playing as Altair and that sort of stuff to now every time there's a new Assassin's Creed game, it's a brand new character, brand new world, historical age. And there are the Animus characters or the people in the background that sort of you see every once in a while, but it's not really a focal point of it. So people don't like that stuff. But I kind of dug all that storytelling that they were doing in there. But yeah, it's a kind of weird way to approach it. I think they've got themselves in a spot where they can't call it. Like people joke about it, like, oh, it's another Ubisoft game, like because that's what they're known for now. The very similar style types of games. So yeah, I think the Assassin's Creed Creed name is just too big at this point. Like it just sells.
Yeah.
Anyway, good question, Drew. Thanks for that. Drew keeps on writing. He sent another email question yesterday. Oh, what are you doing, Drew? It says here, are you guys doing a Game of the Decade podcast? It might be a good idea early on in the new year to get Nate or another guest on. Blow it out over a couple of weeks even. Record all at once, split it over a couple of weeks, give yourselves another week off. For me, it's Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. Might take some elements further and have a more poignant story. But minute to minute GTA and its world is just a more fun place to be. It may have the best driving model ever. It's still funny. Its multiplayer is somehow still going strong. Oh, and we should probably try the new heist after Christmas. What are other your, I think it's supposed to be what are your other contenders? He wrote other hits-wise. I'd have to talk about that with Joe, Game of the Decade, because I guess, yeah, it's kind of end of the decade. Should we do a Game of the Decade podcast, you think, Kleb? What are your thoughts?
Well, definitely. I think we're already 1 year into a new decade, though, right? So, right. Are you 1 year late?
Is it Game of the Generation?
How do you view a decade? Is it 11 till 20, or is it 10 till 19? What's a decade for you, Luke?
I don't have a thought on that. I feel like it could be 10 to 19. Because the 20 is maybe the start.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Game of the Generation podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
And you look at the PlayStation, definitely. But then GTA is not on that list, is it? Is it? GTA 5? Was that this generation? Or I think it was last generation.
It came out PS3, Xbox 360.
Oh, yeah, it came out
first,
on PlayStation
right?
3. Yeah, that was 7 years ago, though. Fucking hell. All right.
Mm-hmm. And it's still going to be out this generation. Every year, churning out.
I guess it was a PlayStation 4 game. All right. It's, I don't know. I'll talk about that one to Joe, but I don't know about other contenders. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 for me is one of the, I think we're getting to this point where there's interesting discussions happening between Cyberpunk, right, and people talking about how, yeah, it's an RPG, but it's not really doing anything new, right, other than we've seen how good CD Projekt is with storytelling, and that's what they're doing in this game. The storytelling is amazing, but gameplay-wise, not a whole lot new. And that's kind of what Witcher was, right? Like, a lot of the gameplay you saw of that game was in their previous games, but they really ramped up the story, brought it into a bigger scale. And what Rockstar has done with Red Dead is really, like, I feel like changed the way we look at open world sort of storytelling and how those games can be told. That's the one for me that really stands out. Do you have anything in mind that is your sort of game of the generation? Is it like a Dark Souls or
Bloodborne? Look, I'll always come back to Bloodborne.
PUBG. PUBG is a good one, I feel like.
Looking at what I guess influenced the games industry as a whole, probably PUBG. Huge. Go out, sort of kicked off that battle royale genre.
Yeah,
I guess you say the same thing about something like Dark Souls, but that's obviously going further back. So,
right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Judd thinks. Maybe we end up doing something to fill out some spare time. All right. Thanks for that. 2 questions, Drew. Next up, we've got Johnny Bravo. Could PUBG win best and worst game of the decade? I think he's answering some of these questions. That could be correct. Yes. I think he's onto something there.
Yeah, best start, worst finish.
I think it got our Shit the Bed award last year in our Game of the Year awards. I think we started a brand new category for it. And it might win every year.
Yep.
We'll see.
Just don't know. We talked about it.
Right. Thanks, JB. Next up, Jorby writes again. He's back. It says, Drew, stop asking questions when I won't be on this week. That's not a question. All right. And then JB chimes back in. He says, "Hey Luke and Job replacement," which is Kleb, says Job 2. Job 2, okay, that's you, if you will, or Job Junior. Do you like?
I'll take Junior. I think he's got what 5 or 6 years on me, so I'll do Junior.
It says the kids can call you Joju.
Not sure about that one.
Yeah, no. It's largely agreed that SSDs was the biggest evolution in PC gaming in the last decade. What do you think will be the thing that evolves gaming in the next 10 years? Oof. Any thoughts, Club?
Oh. No.
No?
I guess once the games load super quickly, it's all about how they look. I suppose we're seeing RTX becoming more prevalent in games. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's yes, he makes a good point about SSDs on PC, but it's the SSDs on consoles that are going to be the biggest change, because you've had game development having to hold like the hand of consoles over the last decades, right?
Yep.
And so even though PCs were able to do all this stuff, now that we're in a spot where SSDs are the standard, you're going to get such quicker gains, and they'll be able to do more things with them because that technology is now there. So yeah, I think SSDs over the next 10 years is what is going to bring consoles to all games forward so much. Like, we're not going to see a new console for another like 8 years, right? So this is what we're stuck with for the next decade.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be one of the biggest factors. And then on top of that, as much as I've said ray tracing is such a big game changer in terms of how games look, it will. But going forward, we're still going to be seeing performance hits on those games and choosing whether or not we want something to look good or we want something to run smooth.
Yeah.
And then once people really get their hands on it, because there's still not a lot of games that use ray tracing or the RTX features or whatever you want to call them. Once they understand how to use that stuff properly, it's going to take them a couple of years. Like, we're not going to see that instantly. From what I'm hearing, Cyberpunk is maybe one of the best implementations of ray tracing. They've obviously been working with NVIDIA for a long time on this, so wouldn't surprise me. It looks really good. So we'll definitely get to a point where developers are taking advantage of that stuff. It's just how it runs on those consoles is going to be a big thing. And also PC. Cyberpunk apparently does not run crash hot at the moment using all of those features. You're going to have to really have a beefy PC. So I guess we'll see. The other thing that I think will be interesting is the implementation of ray tracing and using that to introduce different game elements, because we've seen ray tracing be used for reflections and shadows and changing elements of lighting, but they're now looking at how ray tracing can sort of be used in different ways to affect other areas and aspects of the game. And so that's something I think we'll see in the next couple of years, but I don't know how much that's actually going to change stuff. It might be just small. Yeah, so I don't know, man. We'll I still think the SSD is the big one in that list, like of technology that has sort of come forward. Yeah, it's going to be SSDs that'll really propel the medium. Yeah, that's JB chiming in with some good questions. I think that was the last one. Let me just quickly check. I closed the app. That was today, a couple of hours ago. So thanks for that, JB. Greatly appreciate it. Oh, that was the show. We can wrap things up. Unless you got anything else you want to add? Any other thoughts before we?
No, I think that was probably it.
Cool. The Gap, you can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast from. We're on there. Please rate and review the show. Helps other people find us. The Gap, the GA podcast. That's where you'll find us at. You can email us at gapodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to our Discord page, gapodcast.com/discord. We've got a bunch of channels in there you can leave your thoughts on, or you can play games with other people. Kleb's in there most of the time, moderating. That's what he does. That's what we're paying for. Not really. No, we don't. So that's the GA Podcast/Discord. You can go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube. You can watch the podcast in video form. We generally try to chuck up some stuff on there while we're chatting away. This week, I'll try and put up some Call of the Sea game footage. I might have got some Shadowlands, but I can't really remember. And I think I've got some Immortals Fenyx Rising that I put in there last week. So we'll see what's going on. But you can watch this on video if you'd like to. You can also go to our social media page, twitter.com/the GA Podcast. We're also on facebook.com/the GA Podcast. You can go to our website, thegapodcast.com. You can check out all the past episodes of this show, or you can find those links to everything we just talked about. And that is all thanks to our Patreon members who help this show keep running and keep the podcast going. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/the GA Podcast, become a monthly subscriber, get the podcast usually a day early. I think this week might be 2 days early because we're recording on a different day. But thank you, everyone does it every month. Greatly appreciate your support. Helps us keep paying bills around here, which is quite expensive because we crash the website when we don't pay bills. When we pay bills, we still crash the fucking website. There's so many people listening to this thing. It's nuts. Anyway, thank you, everyone does that. Kleb, Andreas, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on Twitter /akelbo. Misspelling my own name there.
Yeah, I nearly fucked that up on my thing here because I spelt it how I thought it would be, and then I looked it up and I was like, "What the fuck? Like, is he an idiot?"
I think I joined Twitter back when it was not quite a thing yet, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to be associated with having that account, and it just stuck. So
can you not change it?
So that's I probably could, but at this point, it's been so long. It's
too late. It's probably easier just to change your last name or something.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that'll be the next. Other than that, if you do read Norwegian, go to Gamer.no. I'm sure all the this little plug will bring in all new traffic from Australia. A lot of speaking people listening to the podcast, I'm sure.
I think you can actually go to that site and press translate, and it'll actually translate it for you on Chrome. So you can read your stuff because I've definitely looked at it in the past. What are you listed? Is it your name or is it Kleb on there? What is it? What are you going by?
On there, my name. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. You'll see my beautiful face.
Oh,
and you can read everything up.
Awesome. Cool. All right. You can find me at twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, LAWRE, or you can go to Survivor.com. I think we've got some Game of the Year stuff starting within the next week. So you can go check out all the awards that will be given out then, because I've already voted on a lot of my stuff. So you can go to that and check out Steve's new fancy updated website. Otherwise, you can, just check me out on the internet somewhere. I don't know. I'm around. That's it. Kleb, thank you so much for filling in for Job.
Thanks.
Less yelling this week, which is a change, right? You got to get angry or something. I don't know. That's what the people want.
Get swearing in there.
I know. No C-bombs this week. Yet. There's still time. Yeah, really appreciate you coming on because it's the first time for everyone. We haven't had a guest on here for a while, other than Nate. Nate drops in like at the end of the year and then he disappears. We put him back in the hibernation because he's like a giant bear, and then we get him out. So we'll probably wheel him out in a couple of weeks. In like 2 more weeks, we'll see what he's been up to. He'll probably tell us about all the games he's been playing, and that'll take maybe 13 hours. So yeah, really appreciate you coming on, filling in the shoobs for Jobs. And yeah, good fun. Thanks for coming around, Kleb. See everyone else.